This is a special presentation. Welcome to the Inside Track, presented by Red Shores. Here is your host, Rocky Skierman.
Welcome to the Inside Track. Today my guest is Alan MacDonald. Welcome, Alan.
How are you, Rock?
Good. Alan's a former owner, trainer, driver, and former race caller here at Summerside Raceway and at various other racetracks. Welcome to the Inside Track.
Thank you.
You've been part of the harness racing community for many years. How were you introduced to this great sport?
My father bought a horse probably in '65, a horse that was raised up west by the name of Caprifay, and showed me the horse, and I was hooked.
Who were some of the people that influenced you?
Early on, and still to this day, the Whalen family, the Baz Whalen, Jimmy and Walter's father, had the horse back in the '60s, and Baz was very much a great teacher, and then Walter and Jimmy followed in his footsteps, and I still talk to them, and if I ever have any questions about racing and horses, and that's who I go to.
Before we talk about your work in the announcer's booth and some great calls, who were some horses that stand out for you?
Oh, back probably in the '70s would be Direct Scooter, Matt Scooter's father, different horses, Governor Skipper that won the first Confederation Cup in 1977. That was the first time I really got to take a look at some high caliber 3-year-olds that were at that time competing, and it was live TV for an hour on CBC, so it was a big show, and it was quite thrilling.
You got to call Cam Luck and Arts Place and horses like that too as well, did you?
Yes, I called Cam Luck a couple of times. He finished second to Arts Place in Stuart Fraser Memorial, which was a $200,000 race, and at the time it was the biggest purse for age pacers in North America. And one year the Dream Team was there. Arts Place was the winner, and Cam Luck was second, and world champion Odds Against finished third. The next year, Cam Luck came and won the Stuart Fraser.
Let's move to the broadcast side of the business for you. How did you get started, and where did you call?
I called here first in Summerside when they started winter racing. At the time, the Prince County Horsemen's Club was operating the facility, and, it was volunteer, and we didn't race for any money, and they couldn't afford to hire the fellow that did the summer calling from Charlottetown. It was Duck Acorn's brother, Bill, I think his name was. So my father came home one day and said, go see Bob Dewar at the track, and I did, and then I didn't know. My father had volunteered me to do the job. Big paying job, too, $7 a day.
Where else did you call besides here?
Charlottetown, when Ed Waters was take time off after Old Home Week, and then when Ed wasn't there any longer, before I went west in '75, I guess it was. Then I worked at Sudbury for part of a year, and then I went to Flamborough, and I was at Flamborough off and on for about 5 years, and then in Edmonton I worked for the company for 15. I called thoroughbred and harness for 12.
That'd be a different one than calling thoroughbreds.
Much more difficult. It's a different ball game altogether. It'll make your blood pump.
In terms of covering or calling some of harness racing events, which ones stand out for you and why?
Probably between the thoroughbred and the harness, there'd be 2, if not 3 a year that would either be on CBC or TSN. So, it would be a test that you'd have to pass because there was no other, you were in the line of fire, so you'd get up for those events, and they were enjoyable because they had high-quality animals racing.
You selected a race today, Matt Scooter, trained by Honour Harry Poulton. Tell us why you selected this race.
Well, Matt Scooter at the time, he was the fastest horse in North America by virtue of a time trial that he did in Kentucky. And he had come back to Canada, and he just beat a world champion mare, Umbro Feather, just barely beat her at Mohawk, I think it was, in the Gold Cup, or it was an aged event. So there was some suspicion that he might not be as good as he was. So when he came to Edmonton, and he was partly owned by an Albertan, Gord Rumpel, who owned On the Road again, there was a bit of tension in the air to see if he was going to be the Matt Scooter that he had been, or if he had been tailing off a little bit. So that was the set of the stage for that day.
Thanks for joining us today, Alan.
Oh, my pleasure, Rock. Thank you.
It's been great. We'll see now Matt Scooter from 1989 in the Stuart Fraser Memorial.
Northlands hosted the Stuart Fraser Memorial Pace. Matt Scooter was the overwhelming favorite again.
They break the beam at the three-quarters, 123-2. Matt Scooter putting on his performance. Matt Scooter, direct quote. Bradner Gallant clearing third. Bond Street is stalled in fourth. As they turn into the stretch, here they come. Matt Scooter, the champion, crushing them. Matt Scooter, direct quote. Bradner Gallant in the center. Watch the timer. Matt Scooter by 6. He's home. 152.
This has been a special presentation. The Inside Track was presented by Red Shores.